Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome back inside the Burge Gymnasium. We're just past 8:15 here local time in Hamilton, and it's semifinal number 2 here, UBC, Alberta. A rematch of the Canada West semifinal. Now these two teams going at it again here in the USports semifinal. I'm Jared Brown, joined by Tom McCabe. And Tom, what an exciting semifinal we just had. Now these two teams are going to try to go up and try to top the excitement from the last one.
Absolutely. Atmosphere was almost literally through the roof in the last one between Mac and Trinity Western. Trinity Western has punched their ticket to the USport final tomorrow afternoon. Now both the teams are going to battle it out. They've seen each other a fair bit this year, already playing 4 times, as you just mentioned, in the Can West semifinal. They split their regular season matchups with each other. And then obviously Alberta coming out on top a few weekends ago out west, and now meeting here again. UBC was able to come away with a bronze medal in Can West to earn their bid here to Hamilton with a win over Winnipeg.
So here we go. First serve will come from the Golden Bears. It's McMullen. Passed there by West. Kedarakis goes back row to McCarthy, and McCarthy dug up there on the Alberta side. Left side swing, Gertz, and the cover by Schubert, but he's not able to come up with it. And the first point of the match goes to the Thunderbirds.
Definitely expect to hear the name Finn McCarthy a lot from the UBC attack today. McCarthy, a standout rookie for this Thunderbird squad that's one of the most offensively potent teams in the country all season. They led the country in total kills, were second in kills per set.
They are a high-risk, high-reward style team. They serve extremely aggressive, and their offense, like I said, very potent, lots of weapons as Irvin Brar finds the kill across court. And you know, we talked about last night's game when we did here was how McCarthy has been such a huge part of the team, but it was the 2 fifth-year outsides, Brar and West, who really played well. McCarthy didn't get his number called as much, but they can really hurt you from all spots. I mean, the middles, everybody, they're a well-rounded team, and on that Alberta side, they're really strong up the middle as we see Holborn gets off block, play continues, go outside, and Gertz puts the hurts on that one.
Oh, nice wordplay to start off the broadcast, and a great swing on Gertz's first attempt for the first Golden Bears point of this match. Both teams so balanced, so deep. Obviously, Tariq Sani, the player to watch on the Alberta Golden Bear side. He carries a heavy load offensively for Alberta.
Kedarakis goes pipe to West and set a little bit too far, so West just simply tips it over, and it falls down on the Alberta side. So a lot of dynamics going on here. So this is the only team UBC this season has a losing record against. They're 1-1 against Trinity Western, have a winning record against everybody else, but they split their season series with U of A, and then Alberta won the playoff series 2 straight. And talk about high risk, high reward serving. Well, there's an example of it from Kedarakis. He set the Canada West record for aces this season.
Yeah, Byron Kedarakis definitely can make a strong case that he's the best server in the country, leading the country in aces per set. So effective. He has a low toss spin serve, but still is able to hit it so high, doesn't give any team a chance to really get set. It's a quick approach, but as you see here, able to get up. A lot of pace on that one.
Another ace for Kedarakis, this time down the line. And last game we alluded to the fact that we saw the 4-man serve receive quite a bit. Well, that's exactly what we're seeing here, and they're basically standing on the end line, so a lot of court in front of them. And Kedarakis, he can throw in that short rollie as well, and that's exactly what he does. And this time Schubert gets there, but not enough, and Kedarakis, 1, 2, 3, he says. And then they do their little jig, and we're going to have a timeout right out of the gates.
Early hat trick there from Kedarakis. Listening almost as if he's listening in on our broadcast here, and was talking about his serving, switching it up a little bit with that hard shot, then going to the rollie, putting it in for the ace. Alberta just struggling to pass a serve, but you know, Kedarakis is not the only player on this Thunderbirds roster who has a hard serve. Irvin Brar, as we'll see a lot through this match, he has a serve where almost seems like it's going to scrape the roof on his toss, but it has a lot of power behind it. Keith West as well. We saw yesterday West put a serving display on in their first round game against UNB. West yesterday with 5 service aces.
And I think a good early timeout from Coach Davidoff. And interesting we got to mention is that Alberta Terry Daniluk, still the head coach, but Brock Davidoff listed as the associate head coach, which is, I guess, usually, as we see another ace, associate head coach is kind of like a bit more than assistant coach, right? It means you're kind of closer to that spot. And he's the one who kind of mans the sidelines during the game. He'll call timeouts, make substitutions, which I think is a good opportunity to develop him as a head coach. Daniluk is the one sitting on the bench. And Keturakis is just in the zone. Great job by Brisbane to keep it alive. And then it's Chambers who hits the ball wide. So this is all UBC early here, 8-1. And I think that right now it's just the serve, right? They just simply can't handle the serve of Keturakis, and we see why he set that record this season.
Trying to almost shatter that single season record in this game. It seems like he has just been going for it on every serve, going with the softer serve there, but still not an ideal pass from Alberta.
They finally get their side out, though, as Sani goes off the outside, handed down. And you see the Tariq Sani fans in the front row. They have two different styles of Tariq there. They've got two different looks, I guess maybe first-year Tariq and second-year Tariq. Obviously the big cheering section there for Sani. He's from Ontario. It would make sense. He'd have a big contingent of fans cheering him on here this weekend. But I will say the parents and fans and friends, family, everybody, they've all traveled quite well to Hamilton this weekend as Duchesne gets a kill. I mean, every team has had a good contingent of a cheering section here, which is awesome, right? I mean, not as many people in here tonight after that huge game, the MAC game, but still a great crowd here out in support.
Yeah, absolutely. Each team sort of even seeming to have their own traveling fan section. We saw, an overpowered Trinity Western fan section last game, but still being very loud and proud for their Spartans advancing to the gold medal match tomorrow. Also, as a quick credit on that last play, Tyson Smith, heck of a pass off a tough Sani serve.
Just have a blood rule here, and the teams do, when you do have a player who is bleeding, they're allowed a couple minutes to have that blood stop. They do not have to make a substitution, but it looks like his finger actually might be jammed up a little bit too. They are using the two liberos for Alberta. So they have Jared Schubert, who I gotta say, been very impressed with. Fourth-year libero, who I personally didn't know a lot about coming into the season, but have the opportunity to see him play live a couple times. And then Brian Fontaine, who is in his second year, who played last season with Briarcrest, and now this season here. So they're just making sure there's no blood on the floor. So just checking a couple spots. As the White Stripes, Seven Nation Army, rains down on the crowd here.
Alberta somewhat earning a free timeout here as well. Maybe another quick chance to recompose.
Super unhappy with this break.
Found themselves with an early 7-point deficit here. So coach just getting caught up in what's going on. And
so the players can't leave the court in these situations, but they have to get all the blood cleaned up off the sport court.
Always good to have those Lysol wipes on hand. Fans aren't happy with the delay, but
a couple fans unhappy. Looks like we're all good to go now. Head official Azad Hussein from Winnipeg. The officials are in the same hotel as us, and for them too, it's something we don't really consider much when you think about it, though. But this is a big deal for them too, right? The officials to be here and have the opportunity to ref volleyball at the highest level in our country, and it's been great officiating, both up and down and on the lines as well. I mean, it takes a lot of people, scorekeepers, everybody here that's involved. And we see right after that huge delay, Irvin Brar, not phased one bit, goes back and absolutely pummels that serve, and it clipped the tape along the way, which actually made it harder for Schubert to pass.
And Schubert's got his hand taped up a little bit, so interesting to see if that was, or curious to know if that was intentional, going at the hands of Schubert there on Brar's first serves. You see that big high toss.
On another bomb, passed up high to the rafters. Sani back row, and that finds the sideline. And these are the two teams that I know personally the best as far as what I've seen this season in person and on webcast. And I watched their whole series a couple weeks ago in the semifinals, and the game plan really that Alberta had was just try not to get aced, pass the ball up as high as you possibly can, and jack it outside to McMullen or Sani. And Sani, he's a 12-footer, right? He's capable of scoring in those situations, and they're comfortable running their offense in that manner because their high ball offense, their transition offense, they do not try to run with any speed. A lot of teams will see when they're a little bit out of system, they'll still try to run with speed. Alberta, they jack it up as high as they can because they have that leaping ability on those two pins. with McMullen and with Sani. Gerd's not as much. He's not quite as dynamic as the other two. So they didn't mind doing that off the receive. And then when they had any opportunity, they did. They pounded the ball in the middle. And UBC made so many unforced errors that Alberta stayed close, and then capitalized at the end. But right now, UBC is firing on all cylinders. Does a great job there, diving save by the setter Brisbane, but they can't come up with it. And it's a point for UBC as Jordan Duchesne will serve. And now the second and final timeout for Alberta, down 12-3. It's been all UBC early on.
Yeah, perhaps a little fire here for the Thunderbirds, trying to avenge what surely they wish they could have back in that semifinal Can West series. And a good point you make about Alberta being able to jack it up when they're out of system and, go to guys like Sani and McMullen, who are really the offensive leaders. But we saw yesterday in a very close game against the Queens Gales, Alberta relying heavily on their middles, and they played very well. George Holborn came away actually with player of the game honors for the Golden Bears, 10 kills for him, while his counterpart in the middle, Aaron Chambers, had 11. And only one error between the two middles. So a very efficient outing yesterday. So nice to know that they can step up, they can play a large role in this offense in big games, but obviously comfortable having the leader in the country total kills, Tariq Sani.
So the teams return back to the court after the timeout. It's 12-3 T-Birds, and it's just been simply an avalanche of bomb serves coming at them. Duchesne's jump float clips off the tape, taken there by Gertz. They go pipe to Sani, and Tariq Sani's ready to go. I mean, he's been effective in his opportunities to score. They just have to find a way to get him the ball.
Yeah, Tariq Sani, definitely one of the most electrifying young players in the circuit. The Canadian volleyball circuit, had lots of experience with the junior national team overseas this summer.
Yeah, and they can use him in a variety of ways. I mean, he can play on the left, he can play on the right. He hits from both spots of the back row effectively, as West is just going to put that free ball over here, taken by Holborn. Brisbane quickly outside to McMullen, and McMullen is down. And McMullen, he's from Australia. McMullen, he's from Brisbane, Australia, in his 4th season of eligibility, and I really think he's really improved over the years. He's a much more well-rounded player and a big more part of the offense now than he was a couple seasons ago.
And I will have to get this out of the way early with you. Me and Kyle did it yesterday in the first game because there was a bit of confusion in the broadcast booth. We have Luke Brisbane from Melbourne, Australia. Then we have, on the flip side, Alex McMullen from Brisbane, Australia.
Yeah, they don't.
Both Aussies, but one last name Brisbane
don't
from
match
Melbourne.
up. Yeah, and it would be even more confusing if his last name was Alex Melbourne, and then they were totally would flipped, and we would never get it right.
Thankfully, it is not, but we had a bit of confusion on that one yesterday. But both Aussies here. Alberta going down under to do some recruiting, and you have very good players.
I know that that's been more common, right, over the last. We see now it's just almost basically, it's just accepted, right? We just see a lot of Australians playing in the league. I mean, Brandon's had a lot of success with that pipeline. Absolutely huge swing from McCarthy, but just wide. So Alberta doing a good job chipping away here a little bit at this lead. But McCarthy got a hold of that one just wide. McCarthy, he's got a real great demeanor to him. He's kind of just a fun-loving, sort of goofy kind of guy out there. He doesn't, I don't think, take himself too seriously. This ball set real tight. West tries to go up and do something with it, but not many guys are going to win a Sani battle there on that jump. McMullen kind of coming over to say to Azad Hossein that you're going to watch that one a little closer. And I love the way Azad officiates. He, again, talking about not taking themselves too seriously. He really understands players are going to be upset, and he gives them a little bit of freedom out there to express themselves, but lets them know, hey, look, I'm the one who's in charge here. It wasn't a carry ball. Play continues. McCarthy dug up there by Gertz. Brisbane bump set. It's going to go to Sani. He's going to hit a tip here. And Brar comes diving across. High set from Keterakis. Keith West off the top of the block. Dug up there by Fontaine. Back. Sani. One-on-one. And off the outside hand of West. Tariq Sani. Really hot hand early on. 5 kills already in this early stages of the first set.
And a great set by Brisbane going against the flow of the ball there. Brisbane with a pretty tall task on this Alberta Golden Bears team, having to take over for a setter who's probably one of the best Alberta's seen in a while, one of the best the country's seen in a while. Brett Walsh, who's seen some time with the national team, now playing pro overseas, and what a great job Brisbane has done coming in, quarterbacking this Alberta team back to the Can West final.
Have an opportunity here to see a couple big plays from the early stages of this first set. It's Gertz who just absolutely pounded that one down the line.
See, he just got just enough of that window to be able to take that one down the line.
So UBC hasn't had a ton of kills to this point, right? It was that huge serving early on that got them there, but you do see it's Keturakis with 4 points, and that's all aces.
Yeah, 4 points off 4 service aces. Take a picture of that scoreboard. Not too often you'll see the setter leading his team in points, although we are still very early on in this match, but that is the game UBC likes to play. They'll put a lot of pressure on you with their serving.
Tyson Smith, nice pass. Keturakis outside to West, and he finds the hands and long. Good job there by Keith West getting the side out. And I think it's interesting, too, at 13-9 in the first set, that there'd be 3 timeouts called already. That's not super common.
Sort of seeming like both teams with some adjustments they want to make early. Obviously, if you're Alberta, you're just going to, like you said before, Jared, their game plan has to be get the ball high in the middle of the court like you see there. And allow Sandy to hit the ball as well as he can. As you see, a perfect example. You don't always need a perfect pass. It's great to have your setter in 2.5, playing the ball, able to run all the options. But when you have a guy on the outside like Sandy who can help bail you out, especially in out-of-system situations like that, best to just get the ball high. You don't think too much about passing the ball perfectly against a team that serves as well as the Thunderbirds. You could be in trouble.
Keturakis with a great find there to Regier. And if we had an ISO cam on Keturakis, and we talked about how McCarthy's a bit of a character, Keturakis, he really plays with this very interesting demeanor on the court as well. And, again, kind of have this fun-loving type spirit to him out there.
Keturakis, one of the most animated players I've seen in this tournament so far.
That serve might have been going long from Regier, but taken by McMullen. Now Gertz is going to have a chance to swing. Keturakis outside to Brar, and Brar off the hands and down, and it's now 16-10 T-Birds at the timeout. And after a bit of a run back there from Alberta, T-Birds doing a good job to throw together a couple points in a row.
And T-Birds now starting to play a little more offense, not relying as heavily on their serve, showing that they can be, like we said, one of the most offensively potent teams in the entire country. Putting it on display in this tournament, as we're going to take a look at a few highlights in the last few points here. Two teams definitely able to see Sandy able to get up one of the highest verticals in the country. Talk about high leapers, and he may just be the highest, touching well over 12 feet. A nice 60 hitch run there from Keturakis.
So a couple great plays there from both sides, and said it's been high-level volleyball. I mean, even though the score is 16-10, there hasn't been a lot of errors, right? A lot of these, I guess you could say getting aces in error, but as far as attack errors, we've seen some really dynamic swings. I mean, Sandy, he's listed at 6'3", and that might even be generous. And he got a couple giants there on the court beside him with Holborn and some of these guys. It's hard always to compare, but he's not a big man by any means, but he absolutely flies and just pounds the ball. I mean, so aggressive on his swing.
And on the flip side, Irvin Brar, another real high flyer. On the T-Bird side, a bit undersized as a left side, but boy, can he get up and play some real dangerous offense. Really smart player as well. He has the most attempts for the UBC Thunderbirds. They really like to go to him a lot. Very mentally tough player.
And Brar listed at 6'2". Again, that might even be, probably close. He's certainly no bigger than 6'2". So the nature of the game is usually the program might add an inch or two sometimes, right? But he can jump, and there's no doubt about that. Him and Sandy both.
Brar, another player in this tournament. We've seen a few in the last game with McMaster and Trinity Western, and a few as well, even on the Windsor-Lancer side, as well as the Montreal Carabang. Brar, another guy, played at the 2018 Universiade, 2017 Universiade, in Taiwan this summer.
Yeah, we've seen a handful of players who represented Canada at that tournament who have been here this weekend. A couple from Montreal. So now back to serve is Sandy. They did a good job of siding out on the first one last time he was back on the line, and that one mishit long. So 18-12 T-Birds. And it seems to, like, I used the term murderer's row yesterday, kind of the Yankees, they've talked about Stanton and Judge back-to-back, and this is the same type thing here with UBC, right? It's like, where do you get the relief? Like, it's just one guy after another who goes back there and just serve so aggressive. There's not a lot of easy side outs when you do pass it. Now, the key to that, if you're the receiving team, is you know that you are going to get some misses out of it because they serve so aggressively.
Definitely a double-edged sword, kind of, that the UBC Thunderbirds definitely tend to swing. If you can get it in and you can be aggressive with your serve, it's terrific. But I think, as you saw, Jared, you mentioned in the Can West semifinal, if you start missing, then that definitely can be a hill where you're going to slip pretty easily.
Yeah, well, we had a substitution on the Alberta side. New hands coming in. New setter, Max Elgert, second year from Athabasca, Alberta. Gonna get to see Max Elgert for quite a few years on the club side of things in volleyball, and I always thought he really played the game the right way. Real positive player out there, good setter. And a nice block there. Regier and West teaming up to get Chambers. And Elgert, he's had some concussion issues as well, so it's great that he's able to get back out there and play. And there was a thought that, you know, with those things, it can always be scary, right? Careers can be ended with concussions, and it's awesome because he is such a strong player and plays the game so hard that he's back out there on the court. Sani through the hands of West and down. We did have another substitution as well. Guidi had subbed in to serve for Duchesne. And Guidi, he played a big role in yesterday's game. Came in off the bench and hit some big points for the T-Birds against UNB in that quarterfinal. Now Chambers on the line. And that serve goes long. So we're going to check the stats right at the end of this set, Tom. We're going to see missed serves from both teams, but I'm not sensing like they're as good a miss from Alberta, right? Some of these misses here, they're not really challenging as much. They're just putting the ball in the net or out of bounds. Whereas with UBC, the misses have come after a couple big runs of serves, and that's ultimately why we have a 7-point game here with the T-Birds up. That one there from McCarthy sails long. So if you came to see long rallies, you know, this might not be the two teams for you to check out here. It's a lot of quick points.
Could be some quick, exciting points, but yeah, good point. That may not be the game to watch if you're looking for some super
high risk, high reward serving, and the same thing on the attack. Couple guys that can finish the ball from pretty much anywhere on the court. As Brisbane checks back in and serves, Brar with the pass. Keterakis all the way back to McCarthy. Dug up there by Gertz. Brisbane middle to Holborn. One-handed dig there from Brar, and then McCarthy just spikes it into the middle of the court, and Keterakis goes up and hits it.
Yeah, how about that? 1-2 combination with the one-handed, almost spike-looking set from Finn McCarthy, and then Keterakis saying he wants to get in on the fun.
Keterakis, he has this quality, this trait to him where it's almost like he wants to make the most difficult play all the time. He's constantly challenging himself. And I mean, when it works, it's quite impressive, right? Because he starts making some plays that nobody else expects, and then nobody else is capable. So if you don't really see it yourself on your team or other teams you play against, he does make that run, and you're thinking, oh, I wasn't prepared for that. And again, it leads to that sometimes some really bad mistakes because he does play on that line. But when it's working, it sure looks great as Keterakis was piped there to West, and West paints the sideline, much to the happiness there of the UBC 11, and got his leprechaun hat on here as we are at St. Patrick's Day in Hamilton, all around the world really, but saying it's a good thing there wasn't a green team in the tournament, I guess, right? Because then all the people who wanted to dress, I mean, I guess Golden Bears, you know, they had to have some of their support in the green, but Regier with the dig. Keterakis back to McCarthy, and that one hit long. Tried to find the corner.
McCarthy's third error already in this first set. Golden Bears doing a good job of hanging around.
Considering how it started, for sure, you know, it looked like it was just an onslaught. Alberta has found their footing here, as they do have another substitution checking as Jackson Kennedy, number 8. He has come in for Gertz, and Kennedy provides a bit more offense than Gertz. Gertz is a bit more of a passer, defender. That serve from Holborn into the net. Kennedy a bit more size out there.
Saw Kennedy quite a few times subbing off the bench yesterday against the Queen's Gales.
Kennedy and Elgert were club teammates on 18U National Championship FOG team 2 seasons ago. Dynam on the bench, also on that squad, Jacob Dynam. Smith with the dig. Keterakis goes 30 there, and it looks like the block of Chambers was on the net. And that'll do it. UBC takes the opener 25-17 and now leads this second of 2 semifinals. 1-0 as the teams will switch sides. So a great start there for the T-Birds. Alberta slow start, but bounced back with a couple big plays, and really Tariq Sani was fantastic in the early and middle stages there. They kind of went away from him a bit as we got near the end of the first set. But I'm sure, as we saw like in the last game and throughout this whole tournament, Alberta will make some adjustments and come back and be better here in the second set. Really, it was just that big serving run off the hop that made things difficult.
Yeah, we saw it in the last game too when Trinity Western was able to get out a big jump early on McMaster, just how much easier that makes life going forward as you get later into the set, because you already have a cushion that's been opened up. So big credit to the UBC Thunderbirds for executing what has pretty much been their game plan all season long. Serve the ball tough and
So
go
we're
aggressively.
going to step aside and
serve.
be back with you for the start of the second set. Welcome back inside the Burge Gymnasium. We're just a couple seconds away from start number 2. It was UBC who won the first 25-17 based on some strong serving. 5 aces in that first set. And Tom, you have a couple other stats here for us after the first.
Yeah, Tariq Sani, 11 total kills for the Alberta Golden Bears, 7 of them coming from Tariq Sani. No errors on 8 attempts, 875. Pretty good percentage to start off a match. Look for him to continue that going forward, but obviously the ace is the main thing that stands out for the Thunderbirds, was really helped them get away early. Pretty offensively balanced attack from UBC as Keith West leads the way with 3 kills, but a trio of fellow Thunderbirds right behind him with 2 apiece. Irvin Brar, Jordan Shane, and Regier in the middle as well.
So the really interesting dynamic to that is you lose by 8 points, but you get more kills than the other team. And Alberta, I mean, 11-3-21, that's a great set. You hit 38%. I mean, that's nothing to be ashamed of. It's just those aces literally that were the huge part, as Holborn starts off the second set with a kill.
That's going to be a big key for Alberta, really try to lock in their passing a little bit and just allow guys like Sandy McMullen go up, do what they do best.
So really interesting part of the stats, 6 service errors for Alberta, 5 aces, so 11 points, given up on that battle, whereas UBC obviously didn't get aced once, had 5 aces and only 4 misses. So it's a totally different style of play, and McCarthy thought that one was in, but the linesman and head official Azad Hussain both saw it out.
McCarthy still yet to register a kill here for his Thunderbirds. He's swung wide on each of his attempts so far.
That ball pushed way past. So a much better start here to the second set for the Bears. Yeah, McCarthy just hasn't really been able to seem to find a groove this weekend. Yesterday wasn't a huge factor against UNB. They didn't need him as much. West and Brar both played really well, but yet to get a kill here tonight, and yeah, just hasn't been able to get in that same style of play that we've seen from him all season long. They go back to him out of the back row, and that one finds the sideline.
And I mean, it wasn't like his errors where, he was blasting it 13 feet out the back or putting it into the bottom of the tape. He's just swinging a bit wide. He had one incredible looking line shot, that one landing in there, but in the first set, he had a really nice looking line shot that just fell a few squares to the right
I would say,
of the
yeah,
court.
He's hitting them well, right? Like it's kind of like, as Brar goes up with his left hand, get the overbump, but it'd be like hitting, a whole bunch of balls foul before getting out, right? Yep. Like he's getting a hold of them, he's hitting them well, he's hitting them clean, and he's missing by tiles, like a tile, not even tiles, so close to in and out. So usually, if you continue to be that aggressive, those will start turning in your favor, and those will start being kills for him as Keturakis continues to serve so aggressively. That is now Keturakis' 5th ace, and we are in the 2nd set. That's incredible, Tom.
Keturakis, I think hearing our point at the start of the broadcast that he's the best server in the country and wanting to prove that to us now. Really effective serve, just such a low toss. He goes at it so quickly. It sort of seems to be a style we're seeing more and more. A lot of guys, some like Brar, who like to go for that high toss, take a really big approach, run up into it. But Keturakis reminds me as well as the serve TJ Sanders on the men's national team, who also kind of has that low toss, quick approach. I know it doesn't give the opposing team much time to really settle in and get ready.
Luke Kerr, who a player I know really well, just finished with U of M last season, played his 5th year. He was one of the most dangerous servers in the conference. A really short spin serve. He didn't take a really big approach, just had a cannon for an arm. He'd be a former baseball player before he went and played volleyball. And yeah, I mean, if you have the ability, you don't need that huge dynamic approach, and you can just literally be all arm on it. It's tough for those receivers to time up. So now it's Brar who goes back with the big toss. That one goes long. We discussed yesterday, Kyle and I doing the broadcast, how he has this ability on that last step, where his last step, Brar, it's almost completely sideways at the line to not go over the line, and something that would take a lot of practice to get to that point to be comfortable with it.
You can tell that is a serve he's had sort of master over the years. Is not only lots of coordination needed, but some good execution to make that serve work, and some good execution there from Keith West.
So it's interesting as well is that UBC, they made nationals last season for the first time in quite a few years. Kerry McDonald's first year as head coach, and they've replaced 2 starters. They returned those players to the lineup, but they've just been beaten out with West and McCarthy being in the starting lineup this season. New players to the team as Fontaine does a good job to try to pancake it, but they can't get over on the 3rd ball. But you take a team who finished top 4 in the country last year, you return the whole team and then add 2 new starters to it. I mean, that's an impressive accomplishment to have, and it was Fenema and Guidi who were big players in that rotation last season. Joust at the net there, actually kicked to save alive, and now it's Sani who's going to come out of the pipe. Brar, one hand, keeps it alive. Keturakis, bump set, tried to find the pipe to Brar. Results in an opportunity here for Alberta. McMullen, left side, McCarthy got a piece. One-handed set to West, dug up there by Fontaine. And it's set real tight. McMullen tries to go up and wipe it. McCarthy's there, kept alive. Now Sani on the pipe, tip, and a good job by the block of West to put that ball down.
We stand corrected, Jared, saying that this may not be the game to come to for long rallies.
Yeah.
Great rally we saw there. Irvin Brar extending it twice with some terrific digs, as Alberta here is going to take a timeout, talk things over a little bit. The T-Birds have jumped out to a 2-point lead here in the 2nd set. They already lead 1-0. Another interesting thing I noted on that last rally is the Golden Bears seem fairly comfortable. We mentioned they love going to Sani wherever they can, but they almost seem to go to him as well as a bailout option when he's in the back row. We were talking a lot about the pipe attack in our last game with Trinity and McMaster and how it's such an offensive weapon to have, especially when you're in system, but it seems the Golden Bears like to use that as a bailout shot, which is something you don't see too often at the USports level. But when you have an attacker who's as efficient and as talented as Sani, you're definitely going to go to him for that bailout shot from time to time.
Yeah, and I saw Alberta live in person when they played Winnipeg, and Winnipeg actually defeated Alberta on that night, and That's when Winnipeg had kind of first shifted to this new lineup they had because they had so many injuries to their group. But we commented when we were watching the game, just they play the game in a bit different, almost kind of like a throwback style in some ways, right? With less speed in some aspects. But I think it's just with that leaping ability of Sandy, they can use him kind of as that weapon on all spots of the court. As McMullen goes off the hands, gets led by Keterakis, and Brar comes in. Oh, what a great dig off the chest by Sandy. And then Brar goes back set to West, and West puts it down. That's one for the highlight reel. Cue that one up for the replay later.
Sandy just sort of sitting there taking it right off the chest and didn't even bring his arms up and dry. He just almost, like he was going for a sports guy chest bump or something, forced that ball back over.
On a substitution, Elgert will check back in here for Brisbane. And, you know, I think what I love about the style of play here, I think that we're seeing, Tom, is the broadening of the horizons by these players with such cool athletes that are capable of doing some of these really special things as Duchesne goes into the net. You know, it doesn't have to be that kind of bump, set, spike. You know, the game doesn't have to operate in that realm. You can take it out and you can do really cool things, and we've seen that, right? We saw Trinity Western with some of the things they've done. We've seen now here with that ball there where Brar set, you know, hit the ball in the second contact. And just forcing the defense to really stay aware the whole time. As McCarthy there, I think it's easier as a defender, right? And you're kind of thinking back there, okay, this guy's going to pass it, this guy's going to set it, this guy's going to hit it, and you're kind of just sitting there waiting. Now, you know, anything can happen. And as a defender, you better stay aware, or like that ball could easily, you know, can take someone's head off.
Yeah, good thing Sandy was just in proper position, ready to play that. But a great point you make, Jared, that it really has become a different style of game where, you know, teams are playing a little more free. They have a lot more creativity we've seen, and a really good example of that was the play we saw from Brar. Keterakis almost ended up in our French counterpart's broadcast booth.
Is Frank okay down there? Is everybody's okay, Francis? They're on the
looking like we're getting a thumbs up or something. They seem to be all right.
Our announcers from Montreal on the other side of the table. They've been doing a great job all weekend long. Tough for them. You know, they came out from Montreal. They've done the Montreal games and that loss yesterday against Mac. But really great volleyball minds, former players themselves as well on the French announce crew. Not that we don't want you to listen to us, but if you are preferring to hear it in French, just a reminder that we are offering in both languages this weekend. Oh my goodness, what a dig by Smith. Sandy kind of looking back through the net.
I had the wind taken out of me just sitting here. The sound that made coming off of Tyson Smith's chest was deafening, but just showing the heat. We had a great view here courtside. Is just the pure power Sandy gets behind his attacks, pulling his Golden Bears within 2 points here. The back-to-back service errors from the Golden Bears kind of letting the T-Birds off the hook a little bit.
So Schubert, who has been such a great libero, I think, for Alberta, I don't know if that hand injury is maybe causing them to go more to Fontaine here, but Schubert has checked back in to the back row now. Alberta taking advantage of the two libero system. Regeer's serve taken there by McMullen. Elgert outside, Gertz cross court. Unable to handle there was Brar, side out Alberta.
Keterakis a little upset with himself. He wasn't able to get that block, did go up by himself. Sort of seemed like he just kind of reached at the last second, guessing where Gertz was going to hit that ball.
Smith with the pass, Keterakis outside, Brar, and that cross-court shot misses. Point Alberta. Close the gap to just one now, 11-10. UBC still on top, but it's Holborn who continues to serve. I say Tyson Smith made mention of it yesterday, but I think he's been a very pleasant surprise. I don't think he was kind of penciled in to be the starting libero as a first year last year, and won that position. And now Ben Chow, who's a former, you know, great player with UBC, came back to the lineup this year, and I think a lot of people maybe assume that Chow potentially would be the libero, but Smith has hung on to that job all season, and I think he's done a really good job.
Yeah, Ben Chow, though, a great story for the UBC Thunderbirds. Completed his initial degree in kinesiology at UBC, but then obviously battled lots of injuries, had a few surgeries as well that kind of kept him out of the Thunderbirds lineup. Used to be a left side. I know he's a fairly accomplished beach player as well, but some off-season injuries, some surgeries kind of kept him out. Now he's back doing a second degree in computer science, sort of an accelerated degree. at UBC and able to use up his final year of eligibility, making the position switch to libero.
I know in speaking with Coach McDonald last season, he just felt like they just didn't have enough depth on their team. Looked down the bench, he just didn't feel like there was really a lot of great options to go to if he needed. And now this year he talked about how those players who were starters last year are now, battling for positions, and some new recruits, first years. And I think it's a much deeper team, which obviously makes for better practices and the ability to bring some players off the bench when needed, as Brar goes after that one, and it's passed by McMullen over the net and out of bounds. And again, the serving just continues here from UBC.
Sort of seeming like whenever UBC needs to extend the gap and open up a lead here, they've done so via the serve.
14-11 is the advantage for the T-Birds. Brar clips the tape, taken there by Gertz. Nice pass, quickly back outside to him, and it doesn't get over the net, into the tape and down. 15-11, and Coach Davidoff will call timeout, not wanting to wait till the technical. I always find those interesting, that gap, but the gap between 4 and 5, that difference, it can play a big factor in how the rest of the set goes. So if you need to get a stop, you don't want Brar to get on too much of a roll here, now's a good time to bring the team together. We're going to have a chance to see some replays here from this second set.
Interesting as well, that's the last timeout the Golden Bears have for this set. So, should they come out, get this point, and then eventually go into the tech and come out and make it close, they're not going to have another timeout in their pocket to use. As you see Keith West there with a great swing.
There's that great rally there. That was the one that Brar came in and had that back set out of the back row. And really the athleticism of these players, and they're just getting bigger, getting stronger, jumping higher, just everything about it. The game just continues to evolve so much.
Going to come up with a new sort of equation here that seems to work. If you take athleticism, you combine it with creativity, I think the result you kind of get is some innovation in the game. You see some great athletes. When I was talking to, I mentioned Joel Jansen, the assistant coach of Trinity Western, before their match. The one thing he mentioned to me was, we've got a couple guys who can touch over 12 feet, and it seemed like just a couple of years ago that 11 feet was sort of the bar
for sure
that he tried to get to, and now it's almost like, well, 11 feet, that's nice, but now we're touching 12 feet. That's a new thing. So when you just get these guys who are becoming better and better athletes, the training is better, the workouts are becoming so much more specific, especially to a sport like volleyball, which does put a lot of pressure on the lower body. So you're seeing these players touch higher and higher, becoming better and better, and they're getting creative. And what we're seeing is new plays like the one we saw from Brar. You come out of the back row looking like you might be going to hit that ball, a play that a few years ago would have just seemed unconventional and reckless, and now that's sort of a play that's pretty common not only here but internationally as well.
And the interesting thing is when I talk about the athleticism, that training piece, so it's not necessarily playing on the court, but what's being done outside of the gym, right? That time away, how important that piece is. But with our club in Winnipeg with 204, we do a lot of strength and conditioning with our guys. And speaking with our head trainer, Jeff Fisher from Elite Performance, he used to work in the CFL, early 90s with the Bombers. And he's saying our athletes, not us specifically, but the ones they work with, at Elite, they're coming in at 13, 14, 15 years old. They're already more disciplined than some of those pro athletes were 20 to 25 years ago, right? They're not coming in saying, teach me how to work out. They're coming in saying, all right, this is where the level I want to get to, and I need you to do this, this, and this for me, right? And they have diet plans, and they're tracking everything throughout the course of the day at such a young age already, because they want to get to that really elite level. And that's that piece that is just so crucial to really, high performance, right? Getting your athlete to that next stage. The athleticism is one thing, but what work are you going to put in the downtime throughout the season, that rest and recovery, to building the strength, all those pieces are so crucial. And there are people who are born with that ability. Some people can just jump better than others, but there's no way that somebody like Tariq Sani, for example, right? He just got to touch 12 feet just because he was born that way, right? That comes from an extreme amount of hard work, whereas some people, we had that discussion yesterday about how you know, if Tariq was, imagine if he was 6'7", right? Well, he wouldn't have gone through the same pattern of development if he was, because he wouldn't have felt the need to do it, right? He wouldn't have had that same motivation of going to the gym every day and working to put on that, you know, a couple inches every year on his jump and getting to that point. So it's really a testament to the development of our athletes, and I think it's just amazing, and the sky is the limit, right? He's just going to continue to go and go and go. Guys are just going to get stronger and stronger as time goes by.
Yeah, exactly. And really good point you make that. Some people are just born with natural volleyball talent. I think one guy that really comes to mind for me is Andrew Richards from McMaster, a guy who watched his older brother Kyle play a lot of volleyball when he started playing, was just so naturally talented from such an early age. But from everyone I've talked to around the McMaster volleyball community, they just said in the gym he's probably one of the hardest working guys you'll ever meet, and he is really committed to becoming the best overall volleyball player he can be. You see now potentially that timeout from Alberta paying off before the technical timeout, as they now only have a 3-point gap to close in on the T-Birds.
17-14. It was 16-11 at the technical, so Alberta working their way back into this set here. But that serve goes into the net, and you know, you don't want to harp on it, right? But it's those style of misses, right? I mean, I think we said in the first set Alberta had 6 errors with no aces. You know, that's a lot of points to be giving up without getting that reward back. Right? In the first set, UBC only had 4, so they had less, but also with 5 aces, they're +1. And usually, if you're 1-2, if you have 2 aces and 4 errors, coaches are happy with that. So to actually be +1 in that category, that's a huge swing in the score, because we talked about how Alberta, they actually out-hit UBC in that first set, right? They had more kills. Now Brisbane will check back in. 18-15 is the score. But a much better played set here by both teams, I would say, just as far as the style of it's not so much relying on the aces from UBC in this set. Alberta's found a bit more footing here. We're getting into a few more rallies, a better quality of play here in the second than we saw in the first.
Yeah, UBC definitely sort of being forced to play a lot more defense than we saw in the first. It's a nice little nifty dub behind his head from Keterakis. Watching Keterakis reminds me a lot just the body type and the style he plays with a lot of James Shaw, the former setter at Stanford University, now playing overseas. Actually his teammate of Stephen Marr last season when they were playing together in Italy, but just that big, long frame, able to get up, really effective when he chooses to dump in transition.
Danny Aspenleader has come in to serve off the bench here for the T-Birds. High bump set to Sani, and the deep power tip down the line. Smart play there. Not sure where the defense was, if they saw that tip coming and were creeping up, but nice play there by Tariq Sani. Side out, Alberta. McMullen back to serve. Guidi has come in also for UBC for McCarthy. McMullen serve into the net.
Again, some serving troubles here, just keeping Alberta at arm's length away from these UBC T-Birds. Every time they seem to earn a point, they're not able to keep it going.
We also do have Carter McIntyre on the floor, who took out Gertz. McIntyre, third year from Edmonton. Regier back to serve. And some indecision there on the seam between McMullen and Schubert. Looked like Schubert was kind of bailing out on that seam, and maybe some miscommunication there on what they were expecting. And I hope that Schubert, that hand isn't bothering him too much. I really think he's one of the better liberos, probably one of the more underrated players in the country, actually. But that serve goes long. So 21-17, 4-point gap as Holborn goes back to serve. Chambers checks in on the front row.
Now if you're Alberta, that window is closing. If you want to make a push, it's going to have to be
simply running out of time. Yeah, exactly. You can't keep exchanging the side outs here. So we get closer. Now we're into the 20s, closer to 25. Smith, nice pass. Keterakis quickly outside to Brar. And Brar finds the corner. Great shot there, Irvin Brar. Much to the delight of the UBC fans, who are all, I'll say, minus the one UBC Leprechaun. I think almost all the UBC fans are wearing the same matching UBC shirt. So it's easy to point out them in the blue. Keterakis. Oh, and that short rolling. What a great save by Sani. High bumps it outside to McIntyre, and that's such a hard ball to hit coming across the court like that. He gets into the lights. Not much chance there for McIntyre as it goes into the net. But what a great pass by Sani to come, and he was like in the deep, deep corner. This receive on Keterakis is almost right on the end line, and Keterakis took almost everything off of it just to get over the net, and comes back with the heater, and it clips the tape and down. And I don't think Keterakis has had many games better than this on the service line. Maybe just as good, but this has had to be one of his better career games on the line.
Yeah, we'll have to do a quick fact check in between sets here, but I imagine it would be harder to do better than 6 aces. And even the ones where he haven't got aces, serves like that, he's just put Alberta in trouble.
And poor McIntyre here gets hung out to dry on another one of those balls. Now he's going to go up and try to do it again. The deep tip, dug up by West. Keterakis outside to Brar, and Brar just long. So we're going to have another set point opportunity, though, for UBC as it's 24-18. But yeah, I mean, poor McIntyre, right? He's come off the bench, and he's got a couple moon balls to try to hit. Almost impossible to get any timing on. As it's Sani who will have to reel off a few in a row aces of his own, but good serve there, handled by Smith. 30 to Shane, stopped at the net by Chambers. Schubert's going to go high ball to Sani out of the back row, and that's off the net, no touch. And UBC takes the second set, 25-18, and now lead this national USports semifinal 2-0, and are 1 set away from booking their ticket into tomorrow, the matchup with Trinity Western. Looking forward to seeing these stats here. Yeah, we're going to check some things out here, see if we can find out indeed what Keterakis' record would be.
Really seeing how much it can pay off to have such an aggressive serving team. You mentioned that kind of hurt them in the Can West semifinal, but really helping them out today as they found their stride early, large part thanks to the service line.
We're going to step aside, be back with you for the start of the third.
Every day's a chance to flip the script, an invitation to take everything we know and reinvent it. It takes courage. It's an obsession. Never settling for just good enough. It takes a true creator to make something out of nothing. It takes guts. Calling all creators. Those who see obstacles as a chance to win bigger. Calling all creators. The changers. The difference makers. The boundary breakers. The tomorrow takers. Calling all creators. Get up. Invent. Adapt. Write new rules. Calling all creators. It's a new day. Create something.
Welcome back inside the Burge Gymnasium in Hamilton, Ontario. Jared Brown, Tom McCabe on the call. Third set coming up right away. It's UBC who leads 2-0. They are trying to advance to face their provincial rival Trinity Western University Spartans, who earlier advanced with a 3-1 victory over the hometown McMaster Marauders. And UBC has come advertised, I would say, in this tournament, Tom. They really steamrolled UNB yesterday, and I think they probably would have beat almost every team in the country yesterday the way that they played. And now doing the same thing here to Alberta, just on fire from the service line. And you were doing some research there, Tom. What did you learn about Byron Keturakis?
So Byron Keturakis on in the quarterfinal for Can West back in February 23rd. Season high 8 aces in that game against Manitoba. So 2 away from tying his season high right now, but boy, has he looked impressive as he tries to go for the standing dump there. Unfortunately finds the net, but 6 aces through 2 sets for Keturakis. So still lots of potential for him to tie that season high. 11 total aces for the Thunderbirds on the day and none for the Golden Bears. So definitely UBC with the serving advantage as well as the set advantage. They lead 2-0.
So Alberta's season is on the line here. Expect them to come out and play tough.
And once again, Jared, is looking at the stats from the second set. Alberta with more kills than UBC, but still not able to come away with the set win. Alberta struggled a little bit as well from the serving line. They've got 13 total errors in the game, 7 of which came in the last set.
That ball was out first, then it hit his foot. I think that was the right call. It definitely hit his foot, but it hit the ground first. But very, very interesting though. One of the most telling stats I think I've ever seen in a game. So 13 errors with no aces for Alberta. So that's a lot in 2 sets. But UBC on the other side, 9 errors, which is still a decent amount, but in 2 sets, but 11 aces.
So a +2, as you would say.
+2 to a -13. That's a massive switch when you consider how even the attack numbers have been. Fontaine, high back set to Gertz, who's returned back to the lineup after McIntyre saw some time in the second set. And then Sani, high tip, dug up there by Keturakis. West is going to come in, fakes the pipe, and he goes to McCarthy, and McCarthy, his best swing of the day.
There's that creativity type play we were talking about. Some great athleticism from West going up, faking that pipe attack, keeping Alberta guessing a little bit, and great finish from McCarthy.
Regier on the line, so that quick 2-0 lead has been erased. CBC tries to go back ahead here early on in this third set. Regier's jump float taken by McMullen. Holborn bumps it outside to Gertz, and Gertz uses the hands well, and West maybe just caught a little bit too high there on defense. So it's a side out for the Bears. And going back to serve now is the big middle, George Holborn. Holborn, who's battled some injuries over the course of his career, now seems to be back to full health and doing well here with the Bears. Oh, and tough serve from Holborn, but Keturakis does a great job to put the ball down, but he's going to get called on the net. So some great athleticism by Keturakis. And he's saying, I wasn't on the net.
Trying to plead his case there, but never seen an athlete explain himself and then have it be overturned.
Outside set to Irvin Brar. It actually just reminds me of a clip. I don't know if you've ever seen it on YouTube, Tom, where Michael Jordan, late stage of his career. Yeah,
I stand corrected. It has happened before.
The ref says, "I believe you, Michael. I believe you." That's a great clip. I guess when you're that good, referees will believe you. I mean, the way Keturakis is playing as he goes back to the line, he's approaching that territory for this weekend. That's for sure.
Keturakis was on the national B team this summer for Team Canada, and we talk about we have some great setters in this tournament, from OUA Rookie of the Year for Queens, Zane Grossinger, and then obviously the USports Player of the Year, Adam Schreimer for the Trinity Western Spartans. His Finn McCarthy's soccer skills there proving to be illegal as he contacted the ball consecutively. So point will go back to the Golden Bears. But in terms of some of the other setters, Keturakis, a guy who definitely has some potential not only to play pro but to represent Canada throughout the rest of his career once he may be done as a Thunderbird. And really fun to watch him play this weekend.
And I'm sure at that next level they would, there's some things about his game that they would probably like to maybe kind of rein in a little bit, right? I think he kind of plays a bit of that kind of wild style. But certainly has some tools and some athleticism that you're just not going to see in a lot of guys.
And I mean, I know I'm not obviously selecting the national team or being a pro scout, but I like setters that are exciting.
Yeah,
I like
for sure.
seeing them take some risks. I've often heard some setters I've talked to in my past have said, I always like games where my best games are when no one came up to me after and complimented my play, because that means I went out and did my job. But more and more, I think you're starting to see some setters who you will go up to after a game and compliment. Keturakis being one guy who is so exciting to watch, and you do leave a game. It's not often you leave a game saying, "Wow, that was I love that setter." But Keturakis, along with other guys like Schreimer, some guys who definitely are really entertaining to watch them, do their craft.
Nice find there in the middle from Keturakis to Duchesne. Side out UBC. So we've settled into a little bit of an actual side out style game here now. Haven't really had a ton of that in the first 2 sets. Duchesne goes back to serve. 6-5, Alberta leading here in the third. It's 2-0 UBC. Duchesne's jump float. Oh, tough serve. Taken by Gertz. They go back row to Sani, just sets it over, taken there. And Regier slipped, but they were going back to McCarthy, so play's kept alive, and it's sent right back onto the UBC side, and it catch Brar a little bit out of system there, but that swing from Chambers goes out of bounds, so missed opportunity there for the Bears. And Chambers, who normally is quite efficient, is yet to have a kill in this match based on our stats.
Yeah, he was double digits yesterday against Queens. His partner Holborn only with 3 so far, so as much of the dismay of UBC, Duchesne called for being on the service line.
The UBC bench certainly didn't agree with that call. I'd like to kind of get an opinion from somebody unbiased there, but you always see things the way you want to see it, right? So I'm just kind of looking into the crowd behind them there, what their kind of thoughts were. But
great set.
McCarthy with the big kill, Alberta also on the net. And I mean, the really scary thing about this right now, Tom, is that McCarthy hasn't still reached that last gear, that gear that he has, that extra gear. I mean, we look at his stats, he was in the negatives after 2 sets, right?
Yeah, it seems like he's still kind of trying to find his stride here in the semifinal.
Yeah, if he gets into that last gear on his attack, I mean, it just becomes so dangerous. Free ball coming here for the T-Birds, taken by Regier. Keturakis goes up high and dumps it down. And, I know I had a very athletic setter for the last couple of seasons in club, and it's such a nice weapon to have when you can have somebody who plays above the net with such confidence, right? I mean, it's one thing to be above the net, but the ability to move that ball around, that body control, and I think that's something that, Keturakis, he shares that same quality that, you're always in control of what you're doing, and, the ability to dump it. You don't always have to dump it, but showing the other team that you can. As Sani's roll shot dug up there by one hand with Smith. Outside to West, and West hits it long. So side out for the Bears.
Yeah, I think that's a great point you make. Keturakis is so athletic, but always, if you have the ability, it's very important to incorporate yourself into your team's offense. We mentioned before how when a team can have a successful pipe attack, then they're already running 4-on-3, but if you're a setter who can incorporate yourself as well and you still have your C-ball option, then you're almost playing 5-on-3 at times. And you just continue to make life harder for the opposing team's block. Always make them kind of have to pick who they want to go with, and you just keep blitzing them with more and more offensive opportunities.
It's interesting, too. I always notice at the international level, you don't see a ton of setter offense, or you don't see a ton of dumps. I don't know if just the defenders are so good they pick it up, or why that is. I myself never been involved at that level, but I said just the ability to save the ball above the net, though, too, is that huge factor, right? And when that pass from some setters, that ball from Regier, that was not a really good free ball pass for some setters, right? But for Keturakis, he just simply went up, put it down, and now off that missed serve, we're tied 9-9. So McMullen serve taken there by West. Keturakis inside. Brar with the tip, and he tips it out of bounds. So miss there by Brar. 10-9 now is the advantage for the Bears. One thing that I have to say, this is a great angle for us to comment on actually, though, is the screen is just not a thing anymore in volleyball, right? It's just not called. It's just basically, you can stand wherever you want. Just Keturakis, good back find there to Regier. Now they go outside to Gertz, and Regier and Keturakis team up for the block. But, years ago, right, that would get called quite often. If you were that stacked up, especially to that extreme, to that side of the court, right? And I know I had a chat with some of the referees a couple weeks ago about that, and they just basically say, you know what, it's just really not called. It's just, if you can make it harder for the receivers to see the ball, go for it.
Exactly. And you're sort of almost kind of telling, if you're standing right in front of a player position 5, it's almost if you're saying, hey, man, we're going to serve it at you, but we're just going to stand in the way and make it really, really hard for you to see it coming. Because as long as you can do that, you can know for a day in advance that that serve's coming your way. But if you can't see it until it's almost honestly over the net, I mean, especially having Keturakis, Deshane, and guys like that in the front row being so tall, making it hard to see through, then really makes it difficult as a serve receiver.
Bears have pulled ahead by 1, 11-10. Keturakis, back row, McCarthy. And McCarthy seems to have found a bit of a rhythm here in this third set. We talked about how, and it seems like Keturakis is aware of that as well, right? And he's starting to feed him here a little bit. And then, interestingly enough, it's almost all been out of the back row where he's been most effective. But we did discuss that in the semifinal before about how that's almost irrelevant. These guys are so big and they're so athletic that front row, back row, it really doesn't matter. For some players, almost more effective out of the back row. Keturakis outside, Brar, and Brar finds the corner. And you know, Irvin Brar, he's received a lot of recognition this year, right? He's received some awards. He's, Canada West first team All-Star, but I think that he had more to give than what he'd done this season, and I think I've seen, this weekend, yesterday and today, he's really been playing quite well. He'll be much happier with his play as that sets real tight to the net. Chambers went up and played it. Goes back to the Alberta side. Gertz, dug up by Smith. Brar goes set to the middle. McCarthy's going to try to wipe it off, and he does keep it alive. And now Gertz is going to try to do the same thing. Brar gets a piece. Smith slipping, keeps it alive. Goes back to Alberta. Kind of a couple crazy contacts here in this rally, but Gertz ends up getting the kill across court. Smith unable to handle it.
Great hustle, though, throughout that entire rally from Smith. A couple unorthodox digs, and then that last one there. He was in perfect position almost, but just wasn't able to get the touch quite right. Wishes he could have that one back. Now we're knotted up at 12.
I find Smith plays with this kind of, I don't know how to describe it, but he's almost like freewheeling back there on defense, right? You see him running around a lot and digging the ball with one hand a lot, and sort of like this free-spirited defensive play. But he keeps a lot of rallies alive when you watch him out there defensively.
I think it really matches the play of this entire UBC team. They're all a very freewheeling bunch. They have a lot of fun out there. As you can see, they almost do their little jig in between every few points. And but I think that plays with a lot of energy, and they seem to be having a lot of fun playing together.
The key to it is, sometimes people think like, oh, they're unstructured, right? Like you hear that term for teams that play that way sometimes, but they're structured. That's their structure. Right? Their structure is to play that style. So they're playing within their means as streaks, and he absolutely goes after that one, and he gets a service ace. And I think that's Alberta's first ace of the day, Tom, based on the stats that we have.
Based on the stats we've got, it seems it would be.
So now Coach McDonald calls timeout. 14-12 is the advantage here for the Golden Bears. So a good opportunity here to slow things down a little bit.
I mean, obviously you would have sort of liked, if you're Alberta, to see Sandy provide a few aces in the early going, but at the same time, he picked a good time to pull that one out of his back pocket, as Alberta desperately in need of a charge, trying to pull away if they want to extend this match to a fourth set and keep their hopes alive in one of the gold medal games. We take a look at some replays early from this set. Alberta nicely using the UBC block. Irvin Brar, what an athlete he is, gets up so high. We mentioned only 6'2" in the program, but as Marcus Stroman would say, height don't measure heart. Irvin Brar, player that really leads with some passion.
Yeah, I'm sure Marcus Stroman would love the style of play of Brar and Sani. Tyson Smith telling Sani to kind of bring it on there. And he does, and he gets a perfect pass out of it. So Smith got his wish.
Gotta love to see that. Nothing better than a guy saying bring it on and coming through. Just a battle of the heavyweight serve, the precision passing from Smith. Been a really exciting third set so far.
I think a lot of people that I spoke to in between the two semifinals were disappointed if they were a MAC fan, which was the case for some, but just saying we just wanted to see another set, right? And I think that's kind of the case right now is if you're a fan of volleyball, right, you don't want this to end 3 straight just because you're seeing a lot of great athletic plays. You don't want it to end.
Exactly. I'm very comfortable where I am. We got a great view. I'm totally fine to see
Yeah, I'm settled in for the long haul.
this game go however long it needs to. I don't want to put it in jinxes or seeming like I'm trying to be too hopeful for either side. I'll let this game play out, but however it does, I'm more than okay with it.
Obviously, these two teams will have the quick turnaround, right, as the final tomorrow at 4 o'clock. West does a good job to save that ball. He was outside of the aerial, so allowed to touch the net at that point, for those who saw the net really shaking. But now we do have the technical timeout. 16-13 is the score. The teams clear off the court, and we'll talk things over.
I believe this is the first time now Alberta's had the lead going into the technical timeout in this game, which is something you like to see if you're a Golden Bears fan. So now within 9 points of forcing an additional set here in Hamilton. UBC definitely, though, within reach of climbing their way back into this one.
Well, we have seen a 2-0 comeback already in this tournament. McMaster down 2-0 yesterday to Montreal, came back to win in 5. So it is possible. It can happen for sure. So St. Patrick's Day today. Oh, we got the Kiss Me I'm Irish cam, and he didn't understand why she was asking for the kiss. That's pretty funny.
And just on the theme of St. Patrick's Day being a tradition, I want to take this chance to wish my beautiful mother a happy birthday. Come from a very Irish background and very fitting her birthday is today, 57 years young. Miss you, Jane.
There you go.
She's been watching all weekend. Been treated to some great volleyball action here on USports Live. We thank all the rest of you for being with us as well. We get back to some third set action here. Golden Bears looking to extend their lead.
Brar with the pass. Keterakis made out to Shane. Kept alive. That's going to be, I'd say smart play. That would have been 4 hits. Looked like he was going to set up an attack. Brar, diving dig. Keterakis bumps it outside to West. West off the hands and down. But I think great communication there from the Thunderbirds. A lot of guys were yelling, had to go over, as Brar looked like he was going to try to set an attack, but it actually came down off the cover and off another contact. So I'm sure the referees would have caught that.
Yeah, the overall communication I've seen from the Thunderbirds in between points, during timeouts, they're constantly chattering away with each other, constantly making small adjustments, letting each other know where they need a set, where they might need a pass.
That ball hit long, very close, but just out. Confirmed by the UBC bench. You'd think they wouldn't tell you if it wasn't. But I've always had that discussion with people about how, when you want to see the ball as Regier gets a block, when you want to see it, right? If you're cheering for a team, you want to see what's going to happen. So it's not your fault. Your eyes see it. Your brain tells you, oh, no, that was out. And you see, parents and fans losing their minds in the stands, and you're sitting there in the exact same viewpoint that they have, and you have nothing on the line. You're not attached to any particular team, and it's plain as day to you of what the result was, right? So it's nice when you can actually sit back with no allegiance to either team and just watch the game and how much different the rules and results are interpreted. So timeout Alberta as we're 16-16. So good response there from the Thunderbirds, quickly closing back into this game.
So Golden Bears now with no timeouts left as we see this game being tied up. T-Birds still with 2 should things get a bit out of control for them, but they'll take this opportunity to talk things over and mention the constant communication they have on the court. So I'm sure there'll be lots of mini adjustments made.
Teams are back on the court as we're tied 16-16. It's Guidi who has come in to serve for Shane. He's done really well in this role all weekend. Diving pass by Fountain. The ball's pushed way past the pin. Guidi with the dig. Keterakis off the net. High ball outside to West. Off the top hand of Chambers. Back to UBC. It's way outside to McCarthy. And they're going to call McCarthy on the net on the attack. McCarthy thought he had a kill there, but they called him on the net. So 17-16, Golden Bears back on top. Alberta's season on the line here. This is a do-or-die must-win set for them to extend. Keterakis to West, and a huge block. Elgert and Holborn teaming up to slam the door on Keith West.
And that's a big momentum point for the Golden Bears. They take a 2-point lead. We were talking yesterday about how just there isn't much more exciting than Some guy saying, I'm bringing all I have, and you just absolutely shutting the doors. We saw there from the Elgert and Holborn duo.
Back to McCarthy, and McCarthy goes off the hands, and McCarthy continues to have improved play in this third set. And I think it's good to make mention how McCarthy, played a lot of middle coming up, and has, I think, always wanted to play outside. So he kind of was working towards that. I don't even know what that was. Did I have a cough there in the middle of my word?
Cough with the middle of a bit of a voice crack mixed in. But
yeah, a hiccup, something.
Yeah, McCarthy, a player. He played a fair amount of middle actually at the start of the season. We see a nice little combination. Not perfectly executed, not the prettiest, but Keterak is able to get up and fool the UBC or Alberta block a little bit and flick that one outside to Keith West, and uses the block to tie this game back with 18. But like we were saying a few moments ago, McCarthy playing a fair amount of middle at the dawn of his U-Sport career at UBC, and then a few injuries kind of forced him to move to the right side. He provides a nice ace there from the service line.
It's funny, one of my coaching colleagues who watches a lot of university volleyball, former university volleyball player himself, Dan Lothar, who played at the University of Winnipeg Westman, he had commented to me that, Keterakis obviously has the huge serve, and Brar and West, but he felt McCarthy's serve was just one of the hardest to handle, just from the pace that he comes at and the angle that it comes at. And he's a real dangerous server out there as well.
And he jumps so high on it as well.
He's a 12-footer. He can hit that ball from a lot of different angles. There's Elgert outside to McMullen, and not much that West can do. He was ready for it if it came over, but there's not much you can do. Obviously, you can't. The ball went inside the aerial, so there's nothing you can do. It has to go outside the arrow for you to be able to play it. And West was good on West there. He was actually asking the down official, the R2, would I have been able to do anything in there? And he said, no, you can't. West's pass off the net. Brar bump set. He can take a swing. Dug up there. Elgert on the run. McMullen, roll shot, dug up by McCarthy. High ball outside to West. And West uses the hands. And the T-Birds bench is just on fire here. And they can sense it, right? They know they are 5 points away from advancing to the national final.
Like we said at the top of the broadcast, a huge, somewhat revenge opportunity for the UBC Thunderbirds after splitting their regular season matchups. And then obviously falling to Alberta in the Can West semifinal. And all of that would mean nothing if they can come away with a semifinal victory here on the biggest stage of the year.
Oh, there's that play from Keterakis again. Regier was trying to set it, and Keterakis comes in and hits it over the net. I mean, it's endless entertainment, right? Like I'm entertained by the style of play. It's not just entertained from the quality of play. It's the type of plays that some that he's trying to pull off here. It's pretty fun to watch.
And one thing that's sort of coming to mind is, like, obviously we talked a lot about the atmosphere we had in the last game with the McMaster crowd, but with a bit of a quieter crowd, we're kind of getting a nicer look at just a pure emotion from the players themselves, and they are loud and they are filling this gym with lots of noise. You see there, UBC going back up by 1 on the middle attack, but just hearing the energy and the emotion that comes out of these players after every point they earn really makes it even more entertaining.
21-20. Back to serve is Regier. Alberta needs a side out here. McMullen, nice pass. Elgert, back to Sani, and Sani finds the end line. Nice shot. It's been a really good game. Like it's a different game than the last one, I think, with Trinity and Mac, but really high quality level of play here. And the attack numbers from both teams are really good.
And this is definitely, I mean, already score-wise, the closest set we've had in this match, but throughout the entire game, it's always felt very competitive. How about that kill from Irvin Brar? Falling to the floor as he comes down, but still able to find the floor, putting the T-Birds up by 1 with time now kind of almost starting to run a little bit for the Golden Bears. Definitely still within reach.
22-21, Keterakis on the line, their most dangerous server today, but he puts that one into the net. I think he's still got a couple to burn, I would think. He's earned up enough there that he's got automatic green light all the time. 22-22, we're all tied up, third set. Must-win set for the Golden Bears. But if you're Alberta and you're this close here, you can sense it. You don't want to give them any life. Brar, great pass with the Sandy serve outside McCarthy, and McCarthy hits it wide. He had a lane. It looked like he had a lot of court to hit at here from our angle, and he just mishit it. And now Coach McDonald will call timeout. 23-22, and McCarthy not too happy with himself after that one.
And McCarthy really seemed like he kind of found his rhythm throughout most of this set. Been really efficient offensively, and unfortunate time there for an error.
We're going to see some replays here from this third set as the teams are in timeout.
So there's some nice offense from Keturakis getting himself involved. I mean, read well there by McMullen, but just the height purely of Keturakis helping him come through at the point there.
We turn back to teams on the court here. 23-22, Alberta leads. And UBC's going to need a side out. It's a good front row for them here, though. Some good options.
Yeah, probably their most
offensive front row, I would think. Yep.
Yeah, absolutely. You got McCarthy on the left right now, who will switch to the right if the rally permits it. Duchesne in the middle, and then Brar on the right side right now.
Smith, great pass. Duchesne squeezes it through, but it's kept alive there by Kennedy. They go back to Sani out of the back row, and Tariq Sani somehow, not sure where that lane was, but got it past McCarthy and down. It's now 24-22. With
UBC.
Sani again on the line.
Obviously badly needing a side out here as the Thunderbirds.
Clips the tape, taken there by Smith, passes off the net. Keturakis goes back to Brar, way past the pin, and he hits it into the aerial. So Alberta takes the third set, 25-22, and we will now head to the fourth with UBC leading 2-1. Teams will switch sides, and we will do this all over again, Tom.
Not too, fine by me. Down for some more great volleyball. Been treated to two terrific semifinal matches so far.
So we're going to step aside. We'll be back with you for the start of the fourth set USports Men's Volleyball National Championship.
Now there comes a time when it's time to roll. If you don't want to move, you can lose your soul. You can't sit back being comfortable. You're going to have to answer yes or no. We need to see what you really believe. Are you down for the cause? Are you willing to bleed? If so, then stop growing the spine. Hop up in the flow, get off the sideline.
Visit athletics.ca to buy your tickets for Toronto 2018 Track and Field in the Six. You don't want to miss it. See you there.
You're looking live at McMaster University Burge Gymnasium here in Hamilton, Ontario. Jared Brown, Tom McCabe, the whole crew here doing this one. It's semifinal number 2, Alberta UBC Alberta coming in as the second-ranked team in the country, UBC number 3. It was these two teams who went head-to-head in the Canada West semifinals, and it was Alberta who won that series 2-0. So UBC looking for a little bit of revenge from that one, and UBC was close. They had some opportunities to try to close that match out 3-0, but Alberta pulls it out. And Tom, what can you tell us on the stats after 3 sets here?
Well, we talked a lot about how, Alberta didn't really put themselves in a good place, especially with their serving. Made a lot of errors throughout the first 2 sets, 13, but they didn't miss a serve in that last set. That really helped, and they also were able to be a +1, 1 service ace, no service errors for that set. And I think, like you said, just sort of in between sets, you thought they served a lot tougher, which is a good point. Even if they weren't coming through with the amount of aces we've seen UBC have, they still put the Thunderbirds in a lot of trouble. As right on cue, of course, UBC now comes back with an ace of their own, but a great adjustment by the Golden Bears to kind of execute a little better from the service line, put them in a bit of a better position, didn't put them into any huge deficits at any point in that set. They're able to force a 4th, and ideally they're hoping for a 5th as well.
So Regier starts off with the ace on, and that ball hit from Sani. But interesting, when we look at the stats, it's the first time UBC has been a minus in the serving category as far as aces to errors, but that ace to start off the 4th set gets them right back to even. And I mean, any coach would be happy if you had 13 aces, 13 errors. I mean, they'll take that any day. That's a ton of points from the service line. So it's Regier who continues to serve. Kennedy with the pass. Elgert goes back to Sani, and this time makes up for that previous error. So Sani now, after that kill, 12 kills on 23 attempts. So, I mean, definitely a good match for sure. It's been much more sort of spread out. McCarthy now into the positive. So the numbers starting to kind of come around here. And I think the attack numbers of both teams have been good. It's
nearly identical as well.
Yeah, very close if you look at the stats. West out of the back row, off the block and down. I find it very interesting, the commitment to the passion and the energy, the whole match long, right from the get-go. It's constantly, after every point, constantly having that reset too, that release of emotion as Keturakis catches Chambers coming across. He's approaching now that ace record that we talked about. That would be 7 for Keturakis in this match, and we believe, based on our research and from some text from some fans out there, 9 actually might be they think 9, but the stats did say 8. So we're going to go with the official, what we see here on the USport website of 8. Fontaine is trying to check that one back there, but can't come up with it. And it's now 5-1 UBC. Daviduk thinking about timeout. He's coming up to the line. He's kind of surveying the situation, and he will now call timeout with Keturakis on the line.
So we're kind of seeing a quick parallel to the first set where Keturakis really putting UBC out early. Obviously a strategic move, putting him on the service line as early as they can. Good choice by Coach McDonald as the T-Birds now find themselves with a nice 4-point cushion here really early on. And obviously, it sounds obvious, we kind of starting to sound like broken records, but getting out to good starts, being able to open up a gap a bit early, just kind of makes life easier as you progress through the set, as you're always, hopefully, going to have that cushion stay with you if you can maintain that lead. Another interesting asterisk, just as on top of what we believe to be Keturakis' serving record. He did it in 3 sets. So 7 aces in 4 sets today, 8 aces in 3 sets roughly a month ago.
An interesting stat here that I was looking for, and I do see now that I found, was that UBC has won 3 championships in their history, but not since 1983. So 83, 76, and 67. So a 35-year dry spell for the program. And I would think, I don't know for sure, Tom, I don't have the stats in front of me, but since I have been involved, right, they haven't, I don't think, even been in a final. So since my time, which is about 2003 or so, I don't think they've been in a final. So when they're trying to get to a place that's, somewhat uncharted territory here for the program. They've been to nationals 9 times, including this year.
And I mean, always seeming to be a team. I'm not, obviously not as involved with the Ken West loop as you have been, but always seem to be a team that's very talented. They always seem to have good rosters, produce good players. Like you said, 35 years without a national championships, you definitely know that they are hungry to try to get to that national gold medal game.
Owen Brar tossed it too far, just kind of hit it just enough to get over the net, and then McCarthy caught, kind of going with the middle, and Kennedy comes for the power tip down. Now it's Kennedy who will go back to serve. I mentioned how quite a few of these Alberta players, 4 from that same FOG 18U National Championship team, and that was such an absolutely loaded year, Tom. 18U a couple seasons ago, 2016. So in that year, you had Tariq and Sharon Vernon Evans were both on Pac-Man. You had Gene Ngiema, who now plays with UCLA, right? He was another 12-footer. He was playing with Scarborough Titans.
He's getting close to being a 13-footer or something.
You had
He
Eric
flies.
Lepke, you had Jackson Howe, you had Jesse Elser. I mean, the players, it went on and on and on, the list of players that were competing at that national that season. And it was FOG who were the champions, with Elgert, with Kennedy, with Fontaine, with Jacob Diamond. They had a really solid team that were always kind of in the mix all the way through there. As we're going to see, Kennedy will take a seat now as Gertz will check back in. You know, obviously the club side of things is such a huge kind of breeding ground, right, for the University Volleyball, right? But I think the big thing is, especially from Quebec and the East Coast, we don't see those teams as much. They typically don't travel as much to the club side of things. So at the national level in club, you don't see them. And, you know, a lot of those great players that we're kind of learning about as they go, especially going that CJEP route, right, working their way through in Quebec. And the players are a little bit older, a little more experienced. And that Montreal team, and oh man, Alex McMullen, he's got a beef with somebody on this side of the stands here. He's looking at you, I was looking at me. That's a huge one-on-one block. But just to finish that thought is, you know, that Montreal team, they were a really good, solid team. And, you know, just been on display all weekend long, the talent and the ability of all these players across the country. West's pass off the net. Go back to McCarthy. McCarthy dug up there by Chambers. Elgert to Sani, and Sani powers through. And it seems like we've seen that so many times, right, Tom? You think about how many kills Sani has had, that he's kind of just overpowering the block, right? You see West and Regier, it's well formed. They're up there. There's nothing bad with the block, but it's simply kind of just rattling through the hands and back down. And now it's just a 2-point game with Chambers continuing to serve, but there's another miss.
And Alberta's on a nice 3-0 run there, but they're going to bail out UBC with the service error.
9-6. McCarthy back on the line. Three-point advantage for the T-Birds. McCarthy serve, passed up there by Gertz. It's tight. Elgert's going to try to tee it up, and he does. Great save there by Max Elgert. Max Elgert has a younger brother, Sam Elgert, grade 12, who another strong setter, I believe, has committed to Thompson Rivers University. So setting is obviously runs in the blood. Their dad, Greg Elgert, coached both players all the way through with the FOG Volleyball Club in Edmonton. Friends of George. Do you know that's what it stood for, Tam?
Oh, does it?
Yeah, Friends of George. Yeah.
I thought there was just like a lot of fog there or something.
No, that's the abbreviation. Friends of George.
Friends
in
of
Edmonton.
George. All right.
Yeah.
That's an interesting tidbit. Thank you.
Yeah. 10-7. Keith West back to serve. West spin serve. Oh, hammered taken there by Gertz. Outside to Sani, and Sani super aggressive, but doesn't find the hands. Almost hit that linesman there. He's awake. If he was feeling a little sleepy, he's awake now.
And knowing his dodgeball skills are still intact.
Yeah. So it's a 4-point lead, 11-7. Oh, and West again, but this time clips the tape. Passed up by Fontaine. Back to McMullen, a bit out of pace. Looks like somebody was on the net, but play continues. They go to Regier in the middle, dug up there by Libero Fontaine. Elgert outside to Sani, and Sani chisels off the hand of Regier and down. Side out Golden Bears.
T-Bird's been holding roughly around a 3-point lead for most of the set, but Alberta doing a really good job stringing together points where they can and keeping it very close.
Regier with the tip, taken there by Gertz. Elgert, middle to Holborn. McCarthy gets a piece, but Brar valiantly tries to get the second contact, unable to come up with it. Much to the delight of the Golden Bears steering section, who are down in that corner. 11-9. So Alberta continues to kind of battle back here. They haven't been able to close that gap completely, but they continue to fight. And that serve from McMullen finds the corner.
Alex McMullen really been leading the charge here for the Golden Bears along with Tariq Sani.
McMullen immediately gives the full credit there to Brock Davidic. I think he had kind of scouted out that corner, maybe Berard cheating a little bit. McMullen's going to go again, jump float. This time passed up by Libero Smith. Keterakis, back row, McCarthy, and it's Holborn and Gertz teaming up for the block. And Alberta has now worked their way back into this set and have tied it up at 11.
Another nice mini run from the Golden Bears has found this game knotted up. We're going to see a T-Bird timeout, their first of the set. Both teams will talk things over. I think just a good decision there from Coach McDonald of UBC to kind of slow down the momentum a little bit that the Golden Bears have built up.
11-11, make a wish.
I wish for more volleyball this entertaining, because this has been terrific to watch. Well, I hope I still get what I wish for. No, you're not supposed to say it out loud, but
Yeah, you might have just ruined it.
I mean, even if these teams aren't playing well, it seems like it's still entertaining enough.
Absolutely, it's been, you know, I said the semifinal kind of style of play, I think, between the two has been a little bit different. This one's maybe a bit more reliant on big serves, and especially on the UBC side, obviously. But that's their style. That's the bread and butter. That's what they've been working with all season long. Is this super aggressive, you know, really challenge you, putting you in high pressure, high leverage situations right away off the serve. But it's the serving of McMullen right now that's being most dangerous as he goes after Brar. Keterakis flushes that one down. I think there's also been kind of an evolution on that style of contact, right, where I feel like years ago that would have been called a carry ball, and that sort of expanded of what a setter can do with one hand and how aggressive they can be on the dumps. And I just remember, I think back to, you know, because he's coaching here this match, but Brock Davidic, he was so aggressive when he set for U of A, and, you know, quite frequently would have multiple attempts out of the setter position. And that ball was sailing long, but McMullen and Fontaine kind of bump into each other a little bit, and the UBC T-Bird Leprechaun loves that one. He's up on his feet dancing as it's now a 2-point lead restored. So Alberta does a good job to get back into this set, tied up at 11, but unable to take a lead. And now it's back-to-back points here for UBC. Kind of a seesaw fourth set here. That one's certainly out, and they do leave it. Good call. Regier played with fire, kind of hit the same serve twice. He was lucky to get an ace on the first one. Keeping that ratio pretty close to 1-to-1 here for UBC on the ace to error.
If you're UBC, really hoping you can get a quick side out here, get back to a 2-point advantage, and put the ball in the hands of Keterakis at the service line.
Brar one-on-one off the hands of Sani and into the crowd. Side out. 14-12.
Who else would you like at the service line right now if you're UBC?
Yeah, and the way the scoring is going, Keterakis could come back around one more time before the set's over as well. Keterakis, huge swerve, but nice pass there by Fontaine outside. Gertz, and Gertz gets the kill. And, you know, I think the scouting report on U of A was that Gertz was out there more as a, you know, passer defender, but he's more than held his own on the attack. You look at him, he had 9-3, 19 coming into this set. He's had a couple of kills already here, but he's done well. And I think part of that is UBC is not, you know, keying on him as much, obviously, loading up a little bit more on McMullen in the middles and Sani, and, you know, giving Gert some opportunities, but he's taken advantage of those, and he's also had some key blocks out there too.
Yeah, very quietly.
Brar, kind of windmill style approach there over the shoulder. Gertz, high ball off the top of the block, kept alive by a running Keterakis, and now it's going to be bumps it outside to Brar. Brar roll shot, takes Sani out. Elgert goes back, run there to Chambers on the 60, a good find. And again, we're tied up 14-14.
And a good point you make about Gertz, almost quietly having a really efficient day. Already with 10 kills in this one. Been a large contributor. Alberta still chipping away here, not letting UBC run away with it too early. As we saw UBC open up a really early 4-point gap, but a good job by these Golden Bears to keep fighting, keep chipping away, and now we're all tied up.
Brar's cross-court shot goes wide, and it's now a 1-point lead for Alberta, 15-14, as we're 1 point away from the technical. And Guidi has subbed in for McCarthy. So just changing up the feel here a little bit.
Be really big for Alberta to be able to take the lead into the tech timeout, just like they did last set.
Sani just long. So we're 1 point away. It's going to be 16-15 for somebody. Who that will be, we'll find out right now, as it will be Brar going back to the line. Brar with that big aggressive toss, goes after it. Fontaine, good job to get behind it. Bump set, but it's too tight. Free ball opportunity here. It's really tight, so Keturakis just lets it go, and you could hear the Alberta bench screaming over. We could hear it from where we were. And it's such a smart play, Keturakis, and now he does a little bit of a jig as he comes off the court. 16-15, and it's amazing, Tom, how effective that play is. It scores quite often, actually.
And that's a play as a former setter. I have tried and failed multiple times on that play, and if it doesn't work, you look pretty bad. But when you can make that, you can make that work and you can read it perfectly, then definitely one of the coolest plays to see from a setter. He doesn't have to touch the ball, but still almost responsible for getting the point. Take a look at some offensive highlights here from the Golden Bears. Using that block well. Alberta starting to hit a little more efficiently here in the later parts of this match. As we mentioned already, both teams fairly identical through 3 sets. UBC hitting 276 and Alberta hitting 278. So numbers-wise, they're looking fairly similar. We got a nice look at the Riverdance cam up on the Litson family scoreboard. Lots of fun St. Patrick's Day themed fan engagement activities going on today. Some green alcoholic beverages being served as well to fans we've seen, and lots of green from fans on both sides.
It's been a really great atmosphere here, I think, all weekend long. We still have one more day to go, and obviously still this match to finish, but I think there'll still be a lot of support tomorrow. Oh, on another big serve, passed way up high into the rafters. Gertz going to have to do something with it, and he does, off the hands of Guidi. But even though Mac is not in the final tomorrow, I still think they'll see a lot of support, and a lot of people who might maybe come out for the bronze medal game for Mac, I'm sure will stick around for the final. You'll see big crowds tomorrow. And this Hamilton community continues to support volleyball at a high level. You know, they've had a lot of big events here the last few years, and they continue to come out in droves. This Keith West, big fist pump after that kill. That was maybe his best swing of the night.
Yeah, one of the cleanest kills he's had. Keith West, such a heavy arm, former Calgary Dino. Took a year off from sport, now using up his final year of eligibility now with the UBC Thunderbirds. And great game he has had.
I was chatting with head coach Kerry McDonald just about that path for Keith West and how, you know, he has played in the Nationals once before with Calgary as they were the host. So this is the first time that he's qualified, you know, as far as earning their spot and not as the host spot. And so he's experienced here, but West maybe showing some of that experience. He's got a couple kills, and the UBC bench is, again, they're getting close here, right? They're feeling it, but it's still 7 huge miles to go. And now Coach Davidic will call his second and final timeout. And something, you know, if somebody asked me, you know, what would you take away from this weekend, you know, and being here, watching all these games, and obviously having this awesome view of everything that we're seeing here. One thing I've noticed is that really quick early timeouts, right, from a lot of the teams. You're not letting any momentum build. As soon as you're in a tough situation, you know, call timeout right away, right? And, you know, it seems to work, too. The teams have really responded a lot from that. And, you know, usually you don't kind of want to take them too early and not be left anything at the end. But if you wait to the end, the game might be over.
Yeah, I've often admired, you know, coaching obviously is such a hard thing to do. You would definitely know from your experience at U of M and with the 204 club, but
yep.
Timeouts is the one thing I've always just tried to pay attention to with different coaches that I see and kind of pick up different styles. You obviously, it's going to vary coach to coach. Some, as we've seen, like to take it really early on. I remember we saw last night Ben Josephine against the Windsor Lancers taking a timeout very, very early, but I think definitely it varies team to team, but it can be a big part of your strategy is how early you like to try to slow down momentum, or you put trust in your players and let them kind of try to figure things out on their own.
And I think early in the year, the tendency is from a lot of coaches to not call timeouts, right? Let them learn, let them figure it out, and put themselves in situations where they have to get out of. But now later in the year, obviously, there's not as much of that learning process to be done. Right now, it's about obviously the result is the main goal.
Absolutely, yeah. Execution is ultimately what matters here. So if you have a little tidbit that you think is crucial, obviously you're going to try to take the time to share that with your players.
Guidi with the kill across court, 20-16. It's now a 4-point lead as the gap has opened up. There's no more timeouts left for Alberta, but they're thinking of maybe using a sub here, looking for the paddles. They have to do something here to try to slow down the momentum as Aspen Leader, who has come in to serve for Duchesne, has rattled off a couple in a row here now with the jump float. Gertz, diving pass. Sani, back row, blocked but covered. McMullen, left side, 3-man block, and again, it's the UBC block starting to take over. Joel Regier takes credit for that one. And we're going to see a substitution. Jackson Kennedy will check in here for Michael Gertz.
You can really tell the UBC Thunderbirds are really starting to see that finish line in sight. Trying to push here, close out the match.
21-16 is the advantage here for the T-Birds. Aspen Leaders, jump float, passed up by Kennedy. Outside, McMullen, dug up by Brar. Back row, it's Kedarakis who's going to take a swing. That's saved there by Sani. Now high ball, McMullen, deep tip. Aspen Leader with the dig, Kedarakis outside to West, and it's Libero Fontaine. Going up to get it is Chambers, and he flushes it down in front of Regier. Much needed side out for the Golden Bears.
And a nice rally, some great defense on both sides. And then some solid play up at the net there from Chambers to finish, or from Holborn, sorry, to finish it off. Or Chambers, I'm sorry. Double corrected myself. It's been a long day.
You were right, then you were wrong, then you're right again.
Third match of the day. A lot of names, a lot of numbers.
Tight set, but play does continue. It's Guidi who's going to hit a roll shot over. Dug up there by Chambers. Elgert outside, McMullen. And he just short roll shot, but it is saved. Now West is going to look to wipe it off, but it's saved by Sani. And now Guidi puts it down with the fist. And you see Coach McDonald, I think, kind of just telling the boys, stay focused, stay in calm here.
Yeah, Coach McDonald really, first time I've seen him coach in action this up close like this. He's got a very calm demeanor to him, similar to Ben Josephine. We've seen a lot of coaches this weekend, actually. You don't see too many coaches show a ton of emotion, and obviously McDonald there minding the game's not over yet. And now they're just within 2 points, punching their ticket to the gold medal game for the first time. It's like you said, first time.
I think, I could be wrong, obviously I'm not sure in those middle years in the 80s, right? But they haven't won since 1983. Can't confirm here if that's the last time they've appeared in the final. But either way, they're not worried about making the final. They're here to win gold, and in order to do that, they have to win this game right here. They have to finish off these last few points. But this Alberta team, there's a lot of fight, a lot of character on this squad. They're not going to just roll over here. See Coach Davidoff still coaching right to the end, not conceding anything here. McDonald and Davidoff, good friends. They'll both know each other a long time. And obviously, a lot of these coaches, some good history between them. As Guidi, who's been a bit of a super sub here for UBC, comes out of the back row, and we now have a match point opportunity here for the T-Birds with Keith West going back to serve.
Great swing coming out of the back row from Guidi. He's been a massive spark plug for this Thunderbird team.
West goes after it, passed up way high into the rafters by McMullen. Sani, left side, roll shot, Holborn with the cover. Elgert goes back to Sani, 3-man block, and he finds the sideline and down. So a point earned there. And it will be McMullen, who did go on a serving run last time he was back on the line, who will try to rattle off a few in a row here. So it's match point opportunity number 2 for the T-Birds. Smith with the pass outside, Brar, and Brar down there is Holborn with the block. 24-20.
Well, the Bears not going away easy here at all, Jared.
At what point do you call timeout here, Tom?
That's why I'm not a coach. That's why I'm very comfortable in the broadcast booth.
I'd give to 22.
Okay.
Yeah.
That would have been my answer too. Good call.
But the serve goes long, and it won't matter. No timeout needed. The T-Birds advance to the final and will take on the Trinity Western University Spartans. UBC wins 25-17, 25-18, 22-25, and 25-20, and advance to the USports Men's Volleyball National Championship tomorrow at 4 o'clock against the Trinity Western University Spartans. Congratulations, UBC.
We've been treated to some spectacular volleyball here today in Hamilton. Really looking forward to tomorrow, seeing where everything will finish up. Terrific effort, of course, by the Golden Bears, coming up just short against a very talented UBC team who is hungry for revenge coming into this one after their Can West semifinal loss.
You know, it's funny to say about Alberta because they're always a perennial powerhouse, contender every season, but I really do feel like they were one of the more improved teams in the country. They really earned their way here. They beat UBC 2 weeks ago to clinch that spot, and they played really well, and at times struggled early on in this match, but as we got going, they played very well, and this is a really competitive game. I think just that the serving of UBC was just so powerful. It was hard for Alberta to handle at times, and you look at the discrepancy there, those aces and misses between the two teams. The hitting was pretty similar, the passing was pretty similar, the blocks were pretty similar. It was just the serving was a big factor. So congratulations to UBC, but also congratulations to Alberta on a good season. Both these teams, though, have one more big game left. It's Alberta and MAC tomorrow for bronze, and then it will be Trinity Western and UBC for gold. So these two teams know each other very well. That was the 5th time they played this season, and a lot of emotion here from all these players, obviously, about what this means, but they will have to bounce back and recover for medal matches tomorrow. See some final stats wrap up there for us, Tom?
Yeah, just a comment you made about, the plus minus on serving. UBC finishing at a +1, 17 aces. 17 aces. Wow, that is just, I had to say that. I think I caught me that, as I said it, that is an impressive total. 7 coming from Katarakis, so 1 short of his alleged career high. But on the Alberta side of -16, so tough result for them, but a great game. And we will see you fans back tomorrow for what should be another great day of volleyball.
Yeah, for Tom McCabe and Jared Brown, everybody here involved in this webcast. It's been a great day, day 2 here, semifinal Saturday, but we will take a break and we will be back with you in about 18 hours. So have a great night. We'll see you tomorrow night.